Before I share what truly happened, before I unlock the memory of that life-altering evening, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, and stay with me until the very end. Your presence here allows me to continue sharing authentic experiences like this one. Stories that test us, mold us, and sometimes transform us entirely. Now, let me bring you back to the moment everything changed. There are turning points in life that don't announce themselves. They slip in quietly, yet somehow shake the very foundation you stand on. One choice, one heartbeat, and suddenly everything you thought was solid starts to fall apart. That evening was precisely that moment for me. For longer than I care to admit, isolation had taken root inside me like an unwelcome shadow. Days blurred into weeks, weeks stretched into years. And somewhere along that endless timeline, I forgot what it meant to truly feel alive. I was 52, but my soul carried the weight of someone far older. My heart felt weathered. My spirit felt hollow. My marriage had transformed into a graveyard where feelings went to rest. Harold, my husband of countless years, had slowly become someone unrecognizable, quieter, more withdrawn, a man who occupied the same home but moved through it as though I didn't exist. He was 63, and most evenings I'd find him dozing on the sofa, drifting between consciousness and sleep, as if that half-awake state governed his existence more than I ever could. When he wasn't on the sofa, he'd lock himself away in his office, a sanctuary that had become his fortress, his shield against me. But honestly, I had been disappearing too. Little by little, silence by silence, our home began feeling like a cage. Every corner whispered words I desperately wanted to speak but couldn't. The burden of being overlooked, unacknowledged, it became heavy enough to shatter even the strongest heart. The sorrow had morphed into irritation, the irritation into rage, and the rage into complete defeat. I longed for him to truly see me just once, not as an inconvenience, not as a fading memory, but as the woman he once promised to cherish. But Harold no longer recognized me, and so that evening something within me fractured. My hands shook as I reached for my phone. Not from terror, but from an emotional depletion that words couldn't capture. I called a number I never imagined dialing with such urgency. Marcus, Harold's nephew, 25 years old, vibrant, present, attentive in ways my husband hadn't been in ages. He was the only person who had looked into my eyes and genuinely seen something there. Not sympathy, not detachment, but real understanding. When he picked up, I could barely keep my voice steady. "Marcus, please come over. Look after your uncle. I'm walking away from this house." The words erupted from me like a dam breaking. Did I truly mean them? I'm still uncertain. Perhaps I wanted to escape. Perhaps I wanted someone to hold me back. Perhaps I simply needed someone to recognize that I was sinking. But Harold wouldn't try to stop me. That much was certain. He wouldn't even register my absence. He would simply continue existing in the empty silence he had constructed around us. But Marcus, he understood my loneliness without me having to spell it out. Maybe because he was younger. Maybe because he actually listened. Or maybe because he felt the chasm too. The distance Harold had built, not only between us, but between himself and everyone who cared. Hours passed. When I finally heard the front door open, I turned toward the living room. Harold was sound asleep on the couch, mouth slightly parted, breathing heavily, completely unaware of the emotional tempest raging within these same walls. Seeing him there, so indifferent, so absent, it amplified every feeling churning inside me. Then Marcus appeared. He didn't linger in the living room. He didn't hesitate in the hallway. He walked directly toward my bedroom door, as if he already sensed where he was needed most. I was struggling with my luggage zipper, though my trembling hands refused to cooperate. I was battling emotions that wouldn't settle. Fury, bewilderment, disappointment, fear, and beneath it all, an ache so profound it felt like an open wound in my chest. I didn't know what I truly wanted. Reassurance, perhaps. Instead, "You're not thinking with clarity." He meant well. He always had. But I wasn't disoriented. I was depleted, emotionally, starved, invisible within my own walls. "I'm not staying for Harold," I said quietly. "Not anymore." Marcus froze. His eyes flickered slightly, a flash of alarm, of guilt, of uncertainty. He thought he had overstepped. He thought I believed he had overstepped. I didn't. Not that night. Not anymore. Marcus, I said, my voice steadier than before, I'm finished pleading for attention from a man who stopped giving it years ago. He looked down at the floor, unable to meet my eyes. My words struck him harder than I anticipated. You've always deserved more, he murmured. You've always been greater than what he sees. There were words he wanted to say but held back. I didn't press him. I already understood. Harold was departing on Sunday, 2 days away. Until then, I instructed Marcus to remain composed, stay quiet, act normal. Just a nephew visiting his uncle. Marcus didn't question my request, but I could see it in how he navigated the house, how he observed Harold, how he watched me. He felt everything I felt. Those 2 days moved like time itself had slowed. Harold noticed nothing. Not my packed bags, not the tension thickening the air, not the frustration in Marcus's clenched jaw. He didn't even notice me, but Marcus did. Every second, every shift in my breathing, every quiet sigh I tried to suppress, every thought that crossed my eyes when silence took over. Emotion was accumulating like a storm neither of us could yet name. But the day that mattered, the one that would alter everything, was Sunday. Harold packed early that morning. Not once did he ask about my emotional state. Not once did he glance at me with even mild curiosity. He simply walked past me with his suitcase as if I were a piece of furniture in the corridor. Marcus drove him to the airport. I assumed he'd return calmly. I assumed nothing would shift until evening. I was wrong, because when Marcus walked through the door later that day, I knew instantly that something had transformed within him. His expression wasn't gentle. He wasn't composed. His eyes were blazing. Something had happened. "Eleanor," he said, his voice tight and tense. He didn't remove his jacket. He didn't sit down. He walked directly toward me like a man carrying too much inside. I remained seated on the couch, motionless. "What happened?" I asked. Marcus shook his head, angry, frustrated, processing something he didn't want to voice. "You were right," he finally said, breathing heavily. "About what?" I already suspected, but I needed him to confirm it. He swallowed hard, and then the words rushed out, as if they'd been building since morning. "He told me he'll return Monday morning. He's flying overseas to go hunting with someone. A woman, Eleanor. He's been seeing someone else for over a year." The room went silent, not the suffocating silence I had grown acute. Stone too, but something different, something that felt like clarity breaking through fog. I should have felt devastated. I should have collapsed under the weight of betrayal. But instead, I felt something unexpected rise within me, relief. "I'm not surprised," I whispered. Marcus stared at me bewildered. "You're not angry?" "I'm furious," I admitted, "but not heartbroken. You can't break a heart that stopped feeling loved years ago." He moved closer, his hands reaching for mine. This time he held them firmly. "What are you going to do?" I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time in years I felt seen. "I'm going to leave. Not out of desperation this time, not out of pain. I'm leaving because I finally understand that staying was never about love. It was about fear." Marcus nodded slowly. "And where will you go?" I smiled, a genuine smile that felt foreign on my face. Somewhere I can remember who I was before I became invisible. That night I didn't run away. I walked away, with my head held high and my heart finally free. Marcus helped me carry my bags to the car. He didn't ask to come with me. He didn't need to. We both understood that this journey was mine alone. But before I drove off, he leaned through the window. "Eleanor, you were never invisible, not to me." I held his gaze for a long moment, then nodded. "I know, and that's exactly why I finally had the courage to leave." I drove into the night, leaving behind the house that had held me captive, the marriage that had hollowed me out, and the version of myself that had accepted crumbs when she deserved the entire feast. Some chapters don't end with reconciliation. Some end with awakening, and that night I finally woke up,